There are times in life when you become so absorbed in your own world, so convinced of your own struggles, that everything else fades into an indistinct blur. The faces around you become anonymous. The vibrant details of life dissolve into a dull backdrop. For Clara, a driven but deeply cynical journalist in a sprawling urban landscape, her perspective had narrowed to a razor-thin point. Life was a competitive game. People were out for themselves, and true compassion was a rare, perhaps even foolish, luxury. She saw the world through the hardened lens of deadlines, injustices, and the endless pursuit of the next big, often grim, story. Clara had witnessed too much hardship, reported on too many tragedies, and seen too many promises broken. The constant exposure to the darker side of humanity had built walls around her heart, making her efficient but profoundly detached. She believed cynicism was her shield, protecting her from a world that seemed inherently unfair. She prided herself on her objectivity, but that objectivity had come at a cost: a deep-seated mistrust of others, and an inability to see the quiet, ordinary moments of grace that still existed. She was a master at dissecting truths, but she had lost the ability to truly feel them. She was convinced that kindness was a weakness, and optimism a delusion. But what if, in the midst of a life defined by skepticism, a tiny, unassuming piece of paper can shatter your entire worldview? What if an act so simple, so quiet, that it goes almost unnoticed, holds the power to unravel years of hardened perspective and reveal a forgotten truth about humanity? This is the extraordinary, deeply personal story of Clara. It's a testament to the quiet desperation that can lie beneath even the most successful exteriors, the profound impact of genuine human connection, and the astonishing journey of how one soul, lost in its own self-imposed emotional fortress, found its way back to light, all because of a single forgotten note that changed her entire perspective. Prepare to be deeply moved, because this is a heartfelt chronicle about the unseen magic that reminds us just how interconnected we truly are. Clara's office was on the 20th floor, overlooking the bustling financial district. From her vantage point, the people below looked like ants, tiny figures moving through a vast, indifferent maze. That's how she saw humanity, a collection of individuals, each fighting their own battles, driven by their own self-interest. Her career as an investigative journalist had honed this view. She excelled at uncovering corruption, exposing hypocrisy, and revealing the harsh realities of the world. She was good at her job, perhaps too good, because the constant exposure to deceit and despair had hardened her. Her personal life mirrored her professional one: efficient, solitary, devoid of deep emotional connections. Her relationships were fleeting, her conversations intellectual and challenging, rarely vulnerable. She had a few acquaintances, but no one she truly confided in. Her apartment, impeccably minimalist, reflected her need for order and detachment. No clutter, no emotional mess. She believed emotions were liabilities, distractions from the cold, hard facts. She found solace in logic, in data, in the irrefutable truth of numbers. The truth was, Clara had been hurt, deeply. Years ago, a betrayal by a trusted colleague, coupled with a personal tragedy she rarely spoke of, had cemented her cynical worldview. She built walls, layer by layer, believing they protected her. She convinced herself that genuine kindness was naive, a weakness exploited by the cunning. Every act of generosity she witnessed, she mentally dissected, searching for the ulterior motive, the hidden agenda. There always was one, she reasoned. People didn't do things for nothing. Her daily routine was a rigid exercise in control. Wake up, check headlines for the next scandal, grab a black coffee, take the express subway to work. She read through mountains of reports, conducted sharp, incisive interviews, and wrote searing exposes. She was lauded in her field, admired for her courage and her relentless pursuit of truth. But the accolades felt hollow, unable to fill the profound emptiness that gnawed at her. She often felt a dull ache behind her eyes, a constant companion. She attributed to long hours and too much screen time. But it was more than that. It was the ache of a heart carefully guarded, starved of genuine human warmth. She was a master of observation, a keen analyst of human behavior. But she had lost the ability to truly connect, to truly feel. She believed she was self-sufficient, needing no one, relying on nothing but her own intellect and sharp instincts. The world around her was a tapestry of problems to be solved, injustices to be exposed. She saw the grit, the grime, the desperation. But she had ceased to see the quiet acts of grace, the fleeting moments of connection, the subtle threads of humanity that still existed beneath the surface. Her life was efficient, productive, but ultimately devoid of light. One particularly dreary Tuesday morning, Clara was on her way to an interview with a high-profile politician implicated in a corruption scandal. Her mind was already racing, formulating questions, anticipating evasions. She carried her heavy briefcase, her mind consumed by the impending confrontation. The city was a blur of muted colors under a gray sky, just like her internal world. She stopped at her usual coffee shop, a small, bustling place near her office. It was rush hour, and the line was long, filled with impatient commuters. Clara stood impatiently, mentally ticking off the minutes, wishing she could simply materialize her coffee. She rarely paid attention to the baristas, seeing them as part of the machine, efficient dispensers of caffeine. As she approached the counter, a small incident unfolded. The barista, a young woman with bright, tired eyes, was clearly overwhelmed. She juggled multiple orders, her movements quick but slightly frazzled. As she reached for a milk carton, her elbow accidentally bumped a stack of neatly arranged coffee lids. They tumbled, scattering across the clean countertop, and a few even rolling onto the floor. The barista gasped, her face flushing crimson with embarrassment and frustration. She immediately bent down to gather them, muttering apologies. The line behind Clara sighed in collective impatience. Clara felt her familiar surge of irritation. Inefficient, amateur, just pick them up. Her mind was already calculating the added delay to her schedule. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed something. An elderly woman, standing just behind Clara in line, had quietly, almost imperceptibly, bent down too. Without a word, without seeking attention, she began to gather the fallen lids, placing them gently back on the counter, helping the flustered barista. Her movements were slow, deliberate, her face serene. She didn't look at Clara, didn't look for thanks from the barista. She simply helped. Clara, for a fleeting moment, paused her internal monologue of irritation. She watched the old woman. Number. Grand gesture. No performative display of altruism. Just a quiet, unasked-for act of assistance. It was so simple, so pure, so unseen by anyone, but the few who happened to glance in that direction. And then, as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The lids were restacked. The old woman straightened, her gaze calm, then simply moved forward. In line, as if nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. The barista offered a grateful, almost tearful nod of thanks, which the old woman met with a gentle, fleeting smile. Clara bought her coffee, her mind still partially fixated on the impending interview. But a tiny, almost imperceptible seed had been planted. The image of the old woman's quiet act, so contrary to Clara's worldview, lingered. She shook her head slightly, dismissed it as an anomaly, a rare exception to the rule of human self-interest. But the image, the feeling it evoked, a quiet curiosity, a subtle sense of wonder, persisted. She thought nothing more of it at the time. It was a mere flicker, A fleeting moment in a day crammed with more important, more cynical realities. She didn't realize that this tiny, forgotten incident was about to be profoundly, utterly, irrevocably amplified. Days passed. Clara's life continued its relentless pace. The interview with the politician was a success. She managed to extract a damning quote, further solidifying her reputation as a ruthless truth-teller. She felt the usual fleeting satisfaction, but the familiar emptiness quickly returned. The incident at the coffee shop, the old woman's quiet act, had faded into the background of her overstimulated mind. Then came another Tuesday morning. Clara was at her office, immersed in a complex report, trying to untangle a web of corporate deceit. Her assistant, a perky young woman named Chloe, walked in with her usual stack of mail and a small, nondescript brown envelope. "Ms. Hayes," Chloe chirped, "this came for you. Hand-delivered, apparently. No return address, just your name." She placed the envelope on Clara's polished desk and hurried out. Clara frowned. Hand-delivered? No return address? Her work often attracted anonymous tips, but they usually came in plain white envelopes, typed, devoid of any personal touch. This was different. The envelope was slightly textured, and her name, Clara Hayes, was written in elegant, slightly shaky cursive. A faint, almost floral scent emanated from it. Curiosity, a rare emotion for Clara, outside of her professional pursuits, pricked at her. She picked up the envelope. It felt soft, almost warm in her hand. She carefully opened it. Inside was a single folded piece of thick, cream-colored paper. No letterhead, no formal greeting, just a handwritten note. Clara unfolded it. The handwriting was the same elegant, slightly shaky cursive, and what she read made her blood run cold, then warm, then surged through her veins with an intensity that rattled her carefully constructed composure. The note simply sighed, "Dear Clara, I saw you today at the coffee shop. I know your work. You expose the shadows. But sometimes, even in the darkest corners, there is light. Look closer. Not for what's wrong, but for what's right. A quiet act of kindness is never wasted. It echoes. It shines. You saw something today. Now, truly see it. The world isn't as gray as you think. With warmth, a stranger who saw you too." Clara read the note once, then twice, then a third time, her eyes scanning each word, searching for a hidden meaning, a trap, a joke. But there was nothing but sincerity in the elegant script, a gentle conviction. You saw something today. Now truly see it. The phrase resonated deep within her, a quiet tremor in her carefully guarded heart. The coffee shop, the dropped lids. The old woman Dot, it wasn't a random act of kindness. Someone had seen her witness it. Someone had taken the time to write her this note. And the "a stranger who saw you too" implied more than just observation. It implied understanding. It implied CONNECTIONE shiver ran down Clara's spine. This wasn't a tip for a story. It was a message for her. It was a quiet challenge to her deeply ingrained cynicism. The world isn't as gray as you think. For years, she had believed it was. Her work, her life, had been defined by those shades of gray. But this note, this small, handwritten note from a stranger, dared to suggest otherwise. She looked out her office window at the bustling city below. The ants were still moving. The skyscrapers still loomed. But something had shifted. The light outside seemed a little brighter. The sounds of the city, a little less harsh. She felt a strange, unfamiliar warmth spreading through her chest. It was unsettling, disorienting, but also deeply profound. The note, a simple piece of paper, had just shattered her entire perspective. The note became a constant companion for Clara. She kept it in her wallet, pulling it out sometimes in quiet moments, rereading the words. Look closer, not for what's wrong, but for what's right. It was a radical idea for her, a direct challenge to her professional training and her deeply ingrained personal philosophy. She tried to dismiss it, to analyze it away, but the message, so simple yet so powerful, refused to be silenced. She began to notice things, small things at first. The barista at her coffee shop, tired as ever, but offering a genuinely warm smile to a homeless man she served. The construction worker on her street, painstakingly helping an elderly woman cross a busy intersection. The quiet patience of a father with his fussy child on the subway. These were moments she would have once dismissed as anomalies, or not even noticed at all. Now they stood out, highlighted by the words of the note. It was unsettling. Her carefully constructed worldview, built on years of cynicism, was starting to crack. She felt exposed, vulnerable. She was a journalist, a truth seeker. And the truth, it seemed, was far more nuanced, far more complex than she had allowed herself to believe. The world wasn't just shades of gray. It was filled with countless tiny flickers of light she had simply refused to see. She started experimenting. Instead of rushing through her day, she would pause. She would look people in the eye. She would offer a polite thank you to the building doorman, a genuine smile to her assistant. These small acts felt awkward at first, foreign to her detached nature. But sometimes a smile was returned. A brief, genuine connection was made. And in those moments, a tiny seed of warmth would bloom in her chest, an unfamiliar but not unpleasant sensation. Her reporting began to subtly shift. While she still pursued injustices with her characteristic tenacity, she also started to look for stories of resilience, of community efforts, of individuals making a difference. She wrote a piece about a local soup kitchen, not just highlighting the hunger, but the profound compassion of the volunteers. Her editors, initially surprised, found her new articles resonating deeply with readers, bringing a human element that had been missing from her work. Her unique blend of rigorous investigation and newfound empathy began to distinguish her even further. The note didn't magically erase her past pain or solve all her problems, but it gave her a lens through which to re-examine her world and herself. She started therapy, something she would have scoffed at years ago, but now she sought a space to confront her own buried grief, her own deepest fears. She realized that her cynicism hadn't been a shield, it had been a prison. The note from a compassionate stranger had shown her the way out. She thought often of the old woman at the coffee shop, the unknown sender of the note. She never found out who it was. The note remained a beautiful, anonymous gift, a testament to the power of a single, unseen act of kindness. It taught her that sometimes the most profound impacts come not from grand gestures or loud declarations, but from quiet observation, from a willingness to connect, and from the courage to simply extend a hand, or a thought, or a message when you see someone truly needing light. Clara, the cynical journalist, was slowly, painstakingly transforming. She was finding light not just in the world, but within herself. Her heart, once a fortress, was softening, allowing warmth to seep in, allowing genuine emotion to flourish. She wasn't just observing the world. She was beginning to truly live in it, with a newfound sense of connection and purpose. Clara's life, once a stark landscape of black and white, was now vibrant with color. She found joy in small moments. A shared laugh with her assistant, a quiet conversation with her neighbors, the warmth of genuine connection. Her relationships, once superficial, deepened. She reconnected with estranged family members, offering apologies, sharing vulnerabilities, and slowly mending old wounds. She became an advocate not just for truth, but for empathy, using her platform to highlight stories of resilience and human triumph. she established a small, anonymous fund for struggling artists and writers, creating her own ripples of unseen kindness, mirroring the generosity she had received. She never stopped being a tenacious journalist, but her drive was now balanced with a profound sense of compassion. She understood, even in the darkest corners of human experience, there was always a spark of hope, a flicker of kindness waiting to be seen. Clara's story is a powerful reminder that our perspective shapes our reality. When we choose to look for the good, to acknowledge the quiet acts of grace, to open our hearts to the possibility of genuine connection, the world reveals itself in new, more vibrant ways. That single, unassuming note from a stranger wasn't just paper and ink. It was a catalyst for transformation, a whisper that broke through years of hardened cynicism, and ultimately, a beacon that guided Clara back to a life filled with light, connection, and a profound appreciation for the human spirit. It reminds us that every interaction, no matter how brief, holds the potential for profound impact. A kind glance, a thoughtful word, or even just a moment of quiet, compassionate observation. These are the threads that weave the rich tapestry of human connection, illuminating our shared journey and reminding us that the world is indeed far from gray. If Clara's journey from cynicism to connection touched your heart, if it reminded you of the profound power of a single, meaningful message or a quiet act of kindness, please take a moment to like this video. Your likes help us share these powerful true stories of transformation and perspective with more people who need to hear them. And if you're moved by true tales of the human spirit, unexpected connections, and life's beautiful complexities, be sure to subscribe to Heartfelt Chronicles. We bring you inspiring stories every week that remind us of the extraordinary good in the world. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another journey with us. Have you ever received a note, a message, or a simple gesture that completely changed your perspective on life? Share your powerful experiences and thoughts in the comments below. Let's celebrate these moments that help us see the world in a new light. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the greatest truths are found not in grand revelations, but in the quiet, profound moments that simply remind us to look closer. See you in the next video.